Man, what's up? What's happening? You already know who it is and what it is. It's everybody's favorite nephew Q, here to give you our NBA recap show where we go over all topics and storylines and narratives that have taken place over the NBA in the past couple days, weeks, and the proceedings. But not wasting any more time, let's get right on into it. The first topic I want to talk about is the NBA fan voting. Get out there and vote for your favorite NBA players to be the starters in this season's upcoming NBA All-Star game. But let's look at who's going to be the starting, or who's the leading vote getters for right now in the Western Conference as far as the backcourt is concerned. And right now, the leading vote getter in the backcourt for the Western Conference is Mr. Stephen Curry. And then follow that up with Ja Morant, Luka Doncic, Klay Thompson with number 4, and then Devin Booker, number 5. Man, it really speaks to the volume of people that love Klay Thompson, as he's the 4th leading vote getter as far as the backcourt is concerned, and he hasn't played until recently, he hasn't played basketball in 2 years. And to see him being voted as far as 4th in backcourt and fan voting in the Western Conference, man, is a testament to what type of player and what type of guy Klay Thompson is. But anyways, let's go into the front court players for the Western Conference and see who's leading the votes in that. And of course, as you know, LeBron James is the leading front court player as far as All-Star ballot vote getting. And then follow that up with Joker. You got a surprising Andrew Wiggins, who's playing phenomenal this season for the Golden State Warriors, who might see him make an All-Star appearance. If he doesn't get voted in as a starter, he probably will get voted in as a reserve, which ain't nothing wrong with that because coaches and players vote on that. So, I mean, your peers and your coaches see you. That's probably mean a lot more than the fans. But anyways, to round that out, we got Paul George and Anthony Davis, 2 guys who probably won't make the All-Star team anyways, just because of injuries. AD has been injured for the past month and a half with his knee situation. Paul George, they're talking about potentially shutting him down for the rest of the season for the Clippers. So we'll see what's going on with that situation. But as of right now, the top leading vote getters for the front court players for the Western Conference, here's your top 5. So let's go on over to the Eastern Conference and see, as far as the backcourt's concerned, who are the leading vote getters in the Eastern Conference for the backcourt players. And right now we have surprising DeMar DeRozan. I know a lot of people are like, man, why is that surprising? DeMar DeRozan is balling this year for the top seeded Chicago Bulls right now with Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball, who also are leading vote getters as well in the Eastern Conference as far as fan votes. But let's go ahead. You got Trae Young at number 2. You got his running mate Zach LaVine at number 3. James Harden number 4, and Lonzo Ball at number 5, who is currently injured right now. But here are your top 5 vote getters for the fans in the Eastern Conference in the front and the back court. Let's see who the fans are voting for in the front court as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned. And I mean, was there ever any doubt? KD is the leading vote getter as far as front court players. He's injured right now, so we'll see if he's even going to participate in the All-Star game. But as of right now, as far as fan voting, he is leading the charge, followed up by the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, and Jimmy Butler round out the front court players as far as leading vote getters for the Eastern Conference. So, man, get out there, vote for your favorite players so they can be voted as a starter for the East or Western Conference All-Star games. But also, let's get into something that took place that was really, really special over the last couple of weeks. Dirk Nowitzki is a legend in the NBA all across the board, not just in Dallas, but all across the board. Dirk Nowitzki is a legend. And over the past week, the Dallas Mavericks not only retired his jersey, but I'll play this clip so you can see what Mark Cuban had to offer Dirk Nowitzki as well. Check it out.
And it'll be there forever. And one of the things we do so that all future Mavs fans and all future players will always know your greatness is we put your number up in the rafters. But that's not all we do, Dirk. Because I want everybody to see more of you, and because I made you a promise, I'm going to keep my promise. Budget was a little bit tight, so that's actual size. No, this will be in front of the arena, and the next arena, and the next arena.
Man, shout out to our guy Dirk Nowitzki for his jersey retirement. They're gonna put a statue in front of this Airlines Arena for the Dallas Mavericks for Dirk Nowitzki, which is deservedly so. That man gave 20 plus years of his NBA career to one organization, helped him win a championship. So he's got a ring, he's got an MVP. Let's just go through a list of things that Dirk Nowitzki has accomplished during his NBA career. He's been voted as one of the 75 greatest basketball players, NBA players of all time. He's a 14-time NBA All-Star, 12-time NBA All-NBA. Like I said, he won the MVP as well. He won the Finals MVP. I mean, his career stats is 20 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, and he did it all while shooting 47% as a power forward. He helped introduce the shooting big that we see in the NBA right now. I'm not going to say he was the first to do it, but he helped usher it in to have big men now go out behind the three-point line and shoot those things as well. And he also had one of the most unstoppable shots, which is that one-legged turnaround jump shot. I mean, nobody could defend that. He puts that knee up in the air, so you can't really close out on him. And then on top of that, he's 6'11", so he has that high arcing shot that was going to be hard to block regardless. So, man, shout out to Dirk Nowitzki in his retirement ceremony. They retired his jersey. I'm going to put a statue out front. Also, I want to know what y'all think. Is Dirk Nowitzki the greatest foreign-born player to play in the NBA? That's question number one. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think about that one. And also, where do you rank Dirk as far as power forwards? Do you have him top 5, top 10, top 3, top 2? I don't know. Let me know down below. Where do you rank Dirk Nowitzki as far as power forwards? Where does he rank? And is he currently the greatest foreign-born player to ever play in the NBA? But anyways, moving on to another great player who, again, is a big player, 6'11", 6'10". Some people call him 7-foot monster. Has range, has handles, can basically do any and everything on the court. Mr. Kevin Durant. He suffered an injury. The reports were he's going to be out anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. So that's going to take him well beyond the All-Star break. I'm interested to see what the Brooklyn Nets do with the whole Kyrie situation, with Kevin Durant's injury. Will they try to bring him along even more to try to help them stay afloat in the Eastern Conference and make sure they stay in that top 3 seeding? Or do they take the Kyrie approach and say, okay, we don't really need you that much for away games, so some of the away games you're not really going to play. James Harden's going to really take over the team. So I'm really interested to see what goes on with that situation as far as Kevin Durant's injury. Easy Money Sniper, Slim Reaper, whatever you want to call him, whenever he does come back, man, he's going to be, it's going to be scary hours in words of my dude Drew. The only thing about this situation is with the Brooklyn Nets, it's coming back to bite them the same thing that bit them last year, which is injuries. James Harden got injured with the hamstring in the playoffs. Of course, the situation with Kyrie Irving and his ankle in the Bucks playoff series. So injuries is going to be a big thing for the Brooklyn Nets because they have 3 guys who in the last 2 to 3 years have really been injury prone and missed a lot of games due to injury, and they haven't seemed to be able to play on the court all at the same time in the past 2 seasons. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with those guys moving forward with the injuries and carrying on and things of that nature. But anyways, enough about the KD Brooklyn Nets. Let's go over to the West Side, which is the best side, and some crazy news just came out, which is Frank Vogel was given the green light to bench Russell Westbrook, which he has done here lately. He started doing it in the Denver Nuggets game. He benched him a little bit in the fourth quarter, and then of course in the Indiana Pacers game, he benched him in the fourth quarter as well. According to the reports, the management has given Frank Vogel the green light as of 2 weeks ago to bench Russell Westbrook, but he's just now doing it. The problem with this situation is that they waited until now to give Frank Vogel that power instead of giving Frank Vogel that power either at the beginning of the season or around Christmas time. So it emboldens Frank Vogel to not fear that, man, if I make this decision, it's going to lose my job, because Russell Westbrook is making $44 million this year. I think he's going to make $45 million next season. So it's going to be kind of hard, and he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, MVP. You can't just bench a guy like that when he's still in the midst of his prime. He's on the back end of his prime, but he's still in the midst of his prime. So to bench a guy like that, you got to have some gumption and some justification in order to do that when a guy's getting paid that much money and benching him like that. And then, of course, you have all the rumors and the reports of Frank Vogel's job being on the hot seat because of the Lakers' struggles this season, which, yes, Frank Vogel does deserve some of the blame for the Lakers' struggles, but Westbrook gets the blame. LeBron gets the blame because he's the one who wanted to bring Westbrook along instead of the reported Buddy Hield trade that was pretty much a done deal until LeBron was like, you know what, the Westbrook deal looks a little bit more appeasing. We can win with that one. So LeBron takes some of this blame. The Lakers players take a lot of this blame because they don't play no defense. They're lethargic when they do play. I mean, it's just the whole aura of their team. It just doesn't look like they're championship ready. That doesn't look like they're a championship made team. On paper, they look great, but of course you got to roll the ball out there and see what's going on. But when they approach Westbrook about him being benched, we have a special clip right here of Westbrook's reaction when they talked about him being benched. Here it is right here. Check it out.
Oh, you motherfuckers. Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you. Huh? You think you can do this shit? Jay! You think you can do this to me? You motherfuckers will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get finished with you. Shoe program. 23-hour lockdown. I'm the man up in this piece. You'll never see the light of who the you think you fucking with. Yeah, that's right. You better walk away. Go on, walk away, because I'm going to burn this down. King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Hey, Westbrook is in his feelings, man. That's the clip of Westbrook when they told him about him being benched and potentially being benched in upcoming games. That was his reaction. But anyways, enough about Russell Westbrook. Let's talk about two great stories about the NBA right now. Well, one is a great story. The other one was a story that kind of happened as the NBA season went along. One is the return of Klay Thompson to the Golden State Warriors. He made his return, I think, on January 11th to the Memphis Grizzlies in that game. But over the course of the 5 games, I believe 5 games that Klay Thompson has been back, the bad part about that is the Golden State Warriors are 1-4 since Klay Thompson has returned. Klay Thompson right now is averaging 14 points per game, shooting 37% from the field and 30% from 3. I don't hold none of that against Klay Thompson because the guy hasn't played NBA basketball in over 2 seasons. So it's going to take him some time to get his footing back, get his NBA shot back, get his rhythm back. So for right now, him averaging 14 points per game on 37% shooting and 30% 3 is pretty good, pretty sustainable. But I see those numbers increasing as the season goes along. Another story is the return of Kyrie Irving to the Brooklyn Nets. Now remember, he's only going to be playing in away games as the city of New York has that vaccination mandate, but we're not going to get into that right now because this ain't about that. But in the games that Kyrie Irving has played for the Brooklyn Nets, he's actually been balling. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets are 3-2 since his return. He's averaging 22 points per game. He's shooting 49% from the field and 36% from three-point land. So Kyrie Irving is balling right now in the away games that he is allowed to participate in. So shout out to Klay Thompson and his return to basketball from the horrendous injuries that he suffered from back-to-back seasons, and also Kyrie Irving's return to basketball because he's an amazing, talented player. A lot of people are anxious to see him play and watch him play and take note of everything great that he does on the court. We'll see if that leads to a championship, the method that they're applying with the Kyrie Irving situation. But as of right now, for a lot of NBA fans, it's great to see Kyrie Irving back on the court again. And speaking of Kyrie and Klay back on the court, let's take a look at some of these NBA standings. First thing we have out in the Western Conference. Let's look at some of these standings right here. As the Phoenix Suns, as of January the 21st, have taken over the first place spot. And then you got the Golden State Warriors in second, the Memphis Grizzlies at third, the Utah Jazz, who are on a bit of a losing streak. I don't know what's going on with Utah right now, but they've slipped all the way to 4th. Then at 5th, you have the Dallas Mavericks. At 6th, you have the Denver Nuggets. 7th, at Los Angeles Lakers. And then rounding out the 8th is the Los Angeles Clippers. The two LA teams are in the bottom half of the NBA standings in the Western Conference. The only issue is that the Clippers, they're without Paul George, without Kawhi Leonard. So a lot of people expected him to be there, expected the Clippers to be there. The Los Angeles Lakers in the 7th spot, nobody expected them to be there. People thought that they would be contending for a top 4 spot. Not to say that it can't happen, but right now, bruh, it ain't look like it's gonna go down like that. But anyways, we ain't gonna talk about the teams 9 through 15 because at this point, who really cares? 9 and 10, you have the Portland Trail Blazers and Minnesota Timberwolves. Nobody really cares about those situations right now. They're not playoff contenders. They're not, NBA title contenders. There's no storylines there. So it is what it is. So with that being said, let's go over to the Eastern Conference and see what we got going over there. So right now, the Brooklyn Nets are holding on as of January 21st. They're holding on to their first seed. The Chicago Bulls, like I mentioned, Lonzo Ball being hurt really affected that team, but they're in second. And the Miami Heat have shot up to the 3rd place spot, overtaking the Milwaukee Bucks, who are currently there. Then you have the surprising Cleveland Cavaliers, who are playing amazing basketball right now, who are growing up right before our eyes. Are they title contenders? Hell no. But for the 5th spot for this team is great for them. You have the 76ers, Joel Embiid, who just had a 50-point game in 27 minutes, which I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And then you have the Charlotte Hornets. Hey, MJ, do whatever you got to do to keep LaMelo Ball in the Charlotte Hornets uniform right now, because the kid is killing. He's going to be an MVP candidate for the next 10 to 12 years. Back that Brinks truck up, give him all the Jordans you can give him the retro Jordans, do whatever you got to do. Make sure you keep that kid in town because he's a special talent. And then you have the Toronto Raptors rounding out the 8. The Eastern Conference is a little bit more intriguing and a little bit more interesting because you have the Boston Celtics down here at 10 with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and then you have the New York Knicks at 11, which a lot of like I said on the last show, a lot of people expected them to be a lot better this season, be a top 4 team based on how they played last season. They just traded for Cam Reddish. We'll see how that situation goes. Also, man, this whole Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, don't be surprised if the New York Knicks try to put together a package to get Zion Williamson up out of New Orleans, because that situation has looked like it's going from bad to worse. So don't be surprised if this offseason you see a whole lot of chatter about the Duke boys reunited up in New York. I think, Zion wants to be up in New York anyways. So be on the lookout for that this offseason. It's not going to happen during the season, but be on the lookout for that. And then you have the Atlanta Hawks, who last season made it in the playoffs in the 5th seed, but now they're fighting for their lives at the 12th spot. So the Eastern Conference, I see a lot of shakeup coming as the season progresses. The Western Conference, not so much. But anyways, another thing that was in the headlines is Mr. Dwayne Wade. He had some comments that he made. He was asked about the Jordan legacy and the GOAT and everything like that. And his comments about that is he's going to be the GOAT for a lot of generations. LeBron will be the GOAT of this generation that's watched him grow up. The younger generation going to forget about Jordan like we forgot about Kareem. Now, there may be a lot of truth to what he's saying, because as our generation continues to ages, we've gotten further and further away from the Bill Russell. We've gotten further and further away from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And the thing that's going to keep Jordan relevant is his shoes. Like, let's just keep it 1,000. His kids are going to still line up. Even there are kids today that love Jordan shoes that have never seen Michael Jordan shoot not one basketball shot, not one layup, not one dunk, not one tongue wag, no, not one nothing. But because his shows are so culturally impactful, Jordan's name is going to live on forever. But the Jordan as the title of the greatest basketball player of all time is going to continue to, as we get further and further away from his generation, become less and less of a topic, because you're going to have the Kobe Bryant conversation, the LeBron, the KD, the Steph, Ja Morant maybe. I mean, you just never know with this next crop of generational players who's coming up, who that GOAT conversation is going to be geared towards. So Dwayne Wade does kind of have a point as far as the kids might not remember in Michael Jordan, because if you remember when the Last Dance documentary came out, a lot of people in the NBA, as far as the younger generation, the Ja Morant, Devin Booker generation, the 22 and 23 under, really didn't get to see Jordan play at all, really. And so when the Last Dance documentary came out, it opened their eyes up to what type of player Jordan was and his impact on not just the NBA, but just the culture in general. So unless a KD or LeBron, which I'm pretty sure when their careers are over, are going to come out with documentaries about their careers, it's going to bring light to the kids who didn't get to see these guys playing right now. Be like, dang, LeBron was like that. Dang, KD was like, Steph was shooting all the way. So as we get further and further down the road, I think that the Jordan GOAT debate will start to die out because of these younger generational kids won't understand the impact and what type of player Jordan was and the impact he had on the NBA and the culture as well. So Dwayne Wade does kind of got a little point right there, is that the GOAT debate with Jordan will not stand the testament of time. And it's not because people will get tired of Jordan debate. It's just because of, as we get further and further from the generation that got to see him play, and his impact is going to be superseded by the guys we see now and the impact that they have. So Dwayne Wade does have a little bit of a point there. And keeping up with the Michael Jordan situation, Mr. Steph Curry came out and made headlines as well when he had a comment, and when he was asked about the 2017 Warriors versus the 1996 Bulls, who would win in a 7-game series. And he said, Steph Curry said, absolutely, you put us on paper with them. I like our chances. I say Dubs in 6. This was a very hot topic debate in the Beyond the Game group for a couple of days. This is my take on it. You know, people have said, oh, well, you know, Ron Harper and Dennis Rodman and Pippen and Jordan, they would lock up all of them. And no, they not. Like, let's keep it 1,000. No superstar player is getting locked up by another player. You know what I'm saying? This and the crazy thing about it is that these people, you know what? The Jordan fans, let's just call it what it is. They ain't even Bulls fans. They're Jordan fans. Because as soon as Jordan left, they were no longer Bulls fans. So they're just Jordan fans. And yet they get on LeBron fans because he hops from team to team. And they were like, well, what team you like this year? What team is it? But you only like the Bulls because Jordan was there. Once he was gone, you were no longer a Bulls fan. But that's neither here nor there. It's the Bulls fans, the Jordan fans, who think that any team that faces the 96 Bulls doesn't have a chance, and that's just not directly true. Now, I'll give you this, Jordan fans. 98% of the matchups against the 96 Bulls are going to lose. There are maybe 2% of teams in NBA history who could give the Bulls a run for their money and potentially beat them. Not say they're going to beat them, but they can potentially beat the Bulls in a 7-game series. You have the 2017 Warriors and the 2000 Lakers that come to mind, which only lost one playoff game. They were 15-1, and they only lost that game against Allen Iverson because he played out of his mind. Those are the only two teams I can think of off the top of my head that could give the 96 Bulls team a run for their money. Let me know what you think about teams that could give the 96 Bulls team a run for their money. But back to the topic at hand. You know, I got so sick and tired of hearing this, 96 Bulls team would lock up the 17 Warriors team, but yet at the same breath, people call Steph Curry either the greatest or the second greatest second greatest point guard of all time behind Magic Johnson. So you mean to tell me Ron Harper, a guy who's never made one all NBA defensive team, is going to lock up a guy who many consider to be the second greatest point guard of all time? And if you say he's the second greatest point guard of all time right now, Steph Curry, then if you put him in the 90s, that's going to mean he's the best point guard in the 90s. So you mean to tell me that Ron Harper's going to lock up the best point guard in the 90s? No, it's not going to happen. And then off top of that, if you go back and look at the 1996 NBA Finals, Gary Payton still got his career, his NBA averages against the Chicago Bulls. Sean Kemp still got his NBA averages. Detlef Schrempf got his NBA averages against the Chicago Bulls. So this notion of the Chicago Bulls is just going to lock everybody down is not true, because the guys that they played against still got their numbers. So if you put Steph, Klay, KD, Draymond, Andre Iguodala, they're still going to get their same numbers. You know what I'm saying? And so if you take Klay Thompson, who right now you could say non-injury top 5 shooting guard in the league, right? You put him in the 90s, at worst, he's number 3. There's Jordan, Clyde Drexler, and there would be Klay Thompson. So you mean to tell me that Reggie Miller can average 18 points per game in the 90s playing against the Chicago Bulls, But Klay Thompson, who's bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, can shoot a little better than Reggie Miller, is not going to at least average 18 points a game against the Chicago Bulls. Even with Reggie Miller didn't have other scorers around him to help him out. But Klay has other scorers around him, so the Bulls can't focus primarily on him like they would Reggie Miller. So you mean to tell me Klay's not going to get his 18, but yet Reggie Miller can get 18, but Klay's a bigger, stronger, faster, better shooter version of Reggie Miller? Come on, guys. We got to start thinking with logic here and stop thinking just because Jordan's associated with it that it automatically means that, they're going to win. And then you have KD. Who in the hell in the 90s is going to guard KD? People say, well, Scottie Pippen is a great all-time defender, but he never in the 90s seen a guy like KD, so he wouldn't know how to match up against a guy like KD. So that matchup, KD's going to get the best of him. KD's going to get his 30. You see what I'm saying? And then you have the Jordan matchup, right? So Jordan's going to get his 30. Jordan's going to get his 40. Scottie Pippen's going to get his 17 to 20. That's where the Bulls scoring stops. Now you have Steph, who can get you 25. You have Klay, who can get you 20. KD, who can get you 30. And then Draymond's going to chip in anywhere between 12 to 15. Andre Iguodala, anywhere between 10 to 15. It's just too much fire. And then the bench depth. You got Sean Livingston coming off the bench. So who you like better, Randy Brown or Sean Livingston coming off your bench? You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? So the 2017 Warriors team not only had more offensive power than the Chicago Bulls, but they also had more bench depth than the Chicago Bulls as well. And people got to start thinking logically. And if you look at the numbers as far as teams defensively, the Bulls ranked number 1 in 96 as far as team defense. The 2017 Warriors, they were ranked second defensively. So it's not like the Bulls were just gonna get anything they want because the 2017 Warriors were a poor defensive team. No, they were great defensive players in their own right. And you look at the rebounding advantage. And the 96 Bulls averaged 44 rebounds a game. The 2017 Warriors, 44 rebounds a game. So people got to stop acting like just because the Bulls got Dennis Rodman, he's going to grab every single rebound out there. It's just not true. And then you look at steals per game. The 96 Bulls averaged 9.1 steals per game. The 2017 Warriors averaged 9.6 steals per game. So the steals turnovers matchup is going to be pretty same. Look at the blocks. And the 1996 Bulls teams averaged 4 blocks a game. The 2017 Warriors teams averaged 6 blocks a game. So rim protection advantage goes to the Warriors. Again, I'm not saying the Warriors are going to win this matchup because it's a hypothetical matchup. We don't know who will win. But all I'm saying is, people, let's start being logic about the matchups instead of just saying, oh, well, Jordan's associated with it, so the Bulls is going to automatically win. No, you got to be logic about the matchups. And then people want to use this, well, what rules are we going to use? What era are we going to use? That's just so they can move the goalpost to try to help Jordan out. So let's split the baby. We're not going to use 90s rules. We're not going to use the rules today. We're going to use the early 2000 rules where you can still be a little physical with the players. So if you put the early 2000 rules where you're still a little physical with the players, it's still going to be a favorable matchup for the Warriors. Not say the Bulls can't win, but it's still going to be a favorable matchup for the Golden State Warriors. So that's just my take on the whole conversation. We've got to get out of this nostalgia mindset of just because it's Michael Jordan, they're automatically going to win, because Jordan is, by a lot of people's estimation, the greatest basketball player of all time. So because he's on the court, that means he's going to win. And then if you think about it like this, in the 90s, when Jordan would go on his big scoring outburst in the finals, the other opposing team had nobody who could match that. So if Jordan erupts for 42 points, nobody on the opposing team could do that. But the Warriors have a guy in KD who could get you 42. They have a guy in Steph who can get you 42. Hell, if Klay felt the need, he can get you 42. They have 3 guys who can get you 42 that could match Jordan's scoring outburst. So then the onus has to be put on the other Chicago Bulls players to score. And do you believe that the other Chicago Bulls players can outscore the Golden State Warriors other players? I just don't see it happening. But anyways, y'all let me know. Tell me your thoughts on the 1996 Bulls versus the 2017 Warriors matchup. The reason why a lot of people have that matchup is because a lot of people consider the 2017 Warriors to be the greatest assembled collection of talent that we've ever seen. The Bulls are probably the greatest team because they went 73-9, won the title, or 72-9. Was 72? No, 72-10. I'm sorry. The Warriors went 73-9. They went 72-10, won the title. So people call them arguably the greatest team of all time. Although that Golden State Warriors 2017 team didn't break any NBA records, but they won, I think it was 63 games in their own right, so they did pretty well themselves. They won the title, and I mean, it's just too much firepower. But again, let me know what you guys think about Steph Curry and his Warriors versus Michael Jordan and his Bulls. But anyways, closing out the show today, let's give a little love to Joel Embiid, because this guy was a monster here recently. He put up a 50-point game. The 50-point game ain't the most amazing part. The most amazing part is if you can see in this graphic, he put up 50 points in 27 minutes against the Orlando Magic back on January the 19th. But also, let's make sure we give a little love to the Joker, who had a 49-point triple-double. So my question to you guys, as far as big men, because these are the two best big men in the league. It goes back and forth about who is the big man in the league. Who do you consider the best big in the league? Is it Joel Embiid, or is it the Joker, who just won the MVP last season? Let me know your thoughts. Comment down below about who you think the best big man in the NBA is at this point in time. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude our NBA show for today. Also, make sure you go like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, if you can't sit down and watch the YouTube channel on your phone, also download the Beyond the Game app on your Amazon Fire Stick, so you can sit down in the confines of your own home, put on your Fire Stick. You can watch all of our shows, from Spoken Minds, our NBA recap show. You have our Beyond the Game show that comes on every single Monday live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can't watch the shows, then make sure you listen and subscribe to the podcast on all major podcast streaming platforms. So make sure you do that. And most importantly, before I get out of here, make sure you share. Hit that share button. It ain't got to be for you. It could be for somebody else who might like NBA as well. So if you're scrolling on your Facebook feed, scrolling on your Instagram, scrolling on your TikTok, scrolling on your whatever you're scrolling on, and you come across something that says Beyond the Game on it, man, just hit that share button. It don't take nothing but 5 seconds out your life. Because guess what? When you scrolling, you're going to find something else that's dumb, and you're going to hit that share button so everybody else can see it. So why not share and support what we're doing, and hit that share button when you see something Beyond the Game that's coming across your screen. Don't be no hater. Don't be no hater, man. Just hit the share button. Do what you're doing. Hit the share button. You're going to share something dumb on your feed anyways. Might as well share this and add it to it. You feel me? Don't be that guy or that gal. Just hit the share button. But anyways, that concludes today's show. We appreciate everybody who tuned in to another great show. I hope your NFL picks are working out for you. Me, I'm a Tampa Bay fan, so let's go Tom Brady. We need this victory. Let's go back to back and do this thing. So I'm hoping and wishing that we can beat the Los Angeles Rams. Man, we got a tall task, but this ain't the show for that. Well, you can catch my thoughts on the Tampa Bay Los Angeles Rams matchup on our Beyond the Game show, which you can watch on the Amazon Fire Stick or on the YouTube channel as well. But as always, make sure you share, and always treat somebody how you want somebody to treat your mama. And I'm at this thing, y'all. Y'all be careful. Peace.